Hey, good day, everyone. It's Mark Schultz here with DigitalAircraft, and we are here for our 23rd episode of Blockchain in Aviation, 23 of 24. We just have 2 left. And hey, I had so many of you reach out to me and say, you know, I missed some of the episodes and I don't have time to watch all of them. And so what we decided to do today is we decided to do Blockchain in Aviation, a series in review. And in this series, what we're going to do is we're going to, in a very short 30 minutes, we're going to power through 22 episodes of Blockchain in Aviation, and basically it's going to be your executive summary. And so if you want to learn as much as what you can in just 30 minutes, you are going to want to watch this today, and we are going to have a great time learning about blockchain in aviation. Join me. Hey, let me bring my guest in as usual. My guest here is Gabriel. Gabriel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How's it going?
I'm doing really good, thanks. I appreciate you sticking with me through this whole series. You know, we've learned a really lot about this. Gabe, tell everybody quickly where you're located and what you do in the company, because some people will be new and they don't know.
Yeah, I'm in Seattle, Washington right now, and I've been working with DigitalAircraft for the past couple of years, doing a lot of research in the blockchain area, some sales and marketing, and just have been looking for what companies are doing in how they're implementing blockchain and what companies are planning to do in the future. And we've been doing this for a few years now, so.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you know, I had to bring in somebody who is young and fresh in the crypto space, and Gabriel's been following that for several years now. And we bring this together with my knowledge of aviation and blockchain applications, and Gabriel's cryptocurrency and blockchain knowledge. And together, we hope that you've been learning a lot from this series. But hey, we know there's a lot of people in the industry that have wanted to learn about blockchain. And so I wanted to ask you again, as I always do, would you please help us and share this series? I've had so many people, every day I have people reaching out to me and asking me about blockchain now, and they want to know what we're doing and what's happening in the industry. And so share this stream. And then also, I love knowing who's watching and who's out there in our broadcast. And if you would just put your comment down in the comment box and tell us where you're watching from, we will give you a shout out here at the beginning of the broadcast. And then when we get kicked off here, we're going to be powering through the series here this morning, one after another, boom, boom, boom. And we are going to give you a maximum amount of knowledge in just 30 minutes. And so if you want to learn about blockchain and aviation in just 30 minutes, this is going to be the session for you. So if you're watching out there and you have an opportunity, excuse me, got a little bit of a cough in my throat. I apologize for that. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take a little drink here today. Never do this, but I'm going to.
It's okay to drink water.
Yeah, right.
Stay hydrated.
Yep, there we go. All right. Listen, we're going to power through this series today. And so just hang tight. I would hold on to your chair. We're going to go through this really quickly today. All right. So here we go. Let me get us kicked off here for a second. Just a minute. All right, let's get going. We're going to start with episode 1. We started with blockchain in aviation, and it was really episode number 1, and it was Web3 101 basics. And in this Web3 101 basics, we'll tell you what the objective is. We really started out trying to familiarize the viewers with Web3 terminology and concepts, and my guests were Gabriel and Luis Santos of the Earhart Solution. And what we did is we focused on Web3 terminology, we focused on concepts, application, and we looked at what is blockchain, what is distributed ledger technology, what are smart contracts, what are NFTs, what's crypto, what are wallets, and we looked at how does all that, really come together. We said, what are some of the use cases for blockchain in aviation? We said things like supply chain, parts, records, all those different aspects of it are being implemented today. We looked at a high-level overview of the Earhart solution and how blockchain is being used for data sharing, for NFTs. Well, actually, what they do is they use NFTs as the element for data sharing and for records and for using it for logs and for historical configuration information about aircraft. Gabe, what were your key takeaways from this very first session?
Yeah, this first session was pretty much our terminology and figuring out what blockchain is, defining these terms. And for those of you that don't know very much about blockchain, start here. This was where we just we defined everything about blockchain and just the very basics of it. So that was key takeaway of this episode.
Yeah, and what we found is that we're early in the blockchain journey. Whether you've been in this for 4 or 5 years, or whether you're just learning about it now, you're really early in the journey. And really, we need to better understand blockchain terminology and applications so that we can jump in and engage. All right, let's go to episode number 2. All right, Blockchain in Aviation, episode number 2. We looked at blockchain business cases, and so we look at the objective. And the objective was really to familiarize viewers with Web3 terminology and business cases, again, adding in the aspect of business cases. And in this particular session, Gabe was with us again, and I brought in LV from a company called Real Variable, who's the Chief Technology Officer of Real Variable, and he has a tremendous amount of experience in blockchain. And what we did is we looked at terminology of blockchain terminology. We looked at security. We looked at DLT, which is distributed ledger technology, how it's a peer-to-peer decentralized kind of an environment. We looked at the secure nature of it and how it's immutable. And number 2, we looked at use cases for blockchain in aviation, which include things like supply chain and warranty and parts track and trace. There's many other applications, but those were some of the key ones which we really were bringing in. One of the things that was important about it is that it brings security, it brings accessibility, it brings the shareable, decentralized nature of the blockchain. We also examined what's the difference between private blockchains, public blockchains, and things like consensus blockchains. And one of the things that we did is we said, you need to use the right blockchain given the application or its business use. Gabe, what were your key takeaways from that session?
Yeah, once again, this session was pretty much learning more of the basics. Okay, these first 2 sessions we're defining how blockchains work, what type of blockchains there are, and which ones to use in which use case. So this one also definitely one that you need to be watching if you're newer to blockchain, and even if you're not, we go into some of the more some more detailed explanations of these things. So.
Yeah, one of my key takeaways, Gabe, is that one of the reasons that we do this is because we want people to understand blockchain so that we can consider the appropriate technology for the business case. Blockchain is not for everything. We need to understand it so we can evaluate it and use blockchain where it's needed. So let's go to episode number 3. Episode number 3, this was probably Gabriel's favorite. It's crypto in aviation. And so really on this one, I'm going to let Gabe jump right in and tell us about this particular session.
Yeah, so this session was amazing, crypto and aviation. We had George from the CK Trading Institute, also known as the Crypto King. This is because he just got into crypto so early, way back in, I think in 2010, or some year around there, 2010 to 2011. But he's been in the crypto business for a very long time. And we pretty much went over use cases of crypto, who's using them, such as airlines, private jets, how they're using them, loyalty programs. We're seeing that businesses are trying to implement these things. Some businesses, airlines actually, were even accepting some forms of cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies being used in NFTs, in Air Baltic, Air Europa, Etihad, Raven Alaska had a Raven coin that they made for loyalty programs. So this one, we talked about crypto, how it's here to stay. Also, we talked about the market conditions and what's going on, and regulations. We talked about that as well. So this was awesome. This was a great episode, learning about cryptocurrency and where it's going. Key takeaways: cryptocurrency is here to stay. Natural evolution of technology in the financial system, and industries are using it. So there's not just speculation. There's a lot of speculation in cryptocurrency, but companies and industries are adopting this, and they're trying to implement it in the ways that are appropriate.
It's clear that crypto is moving mainstream, and I think my biggest takeaway, Gabe, was that last thing that we said is that it's a natural evolution of technology, in finance and being applied in different industries, and so it's here to stay. It's not going away. All right, let's go to episode number 4. Episode number 4. Episode number 4 was our Innovation Monday, and our guest was from Dubai Air Navigation Services. And that's where we talked about how is blockchain, is it real in aviation? So our objective was to understand, is it really real? And our guest was Armand Sabir. He was with the organization DANS, the Dubai Air Navigation Services. And he helped us understand that blockchain is a platform that can be used to share, flight critical information. And what they were doing was they're in an industry where they were looking at blockchain. I think this is important to consider because you may have been looking at blockchain and decided, well, I'm not ready for it. Well, they actually weren't ready for it either, but they were evaluating it a couple of years ago. But their industry is optimum for like a blockchain applications because they're flying operational air navigation data, which everybody needs. And I think it was LexisNexis, which was implementing a platform, a flight air navigation platform today. And so we need to be looking at where we have to have widespread sharing of information where it has security and trust. That was an essential part of what he said. We have to know that it's secure and we have to be able to trust the information for it to be able to be used for something like flight critical data. And so maybe you were looking at blockchain and maybe it's time for you to look again. That was really some of his key messages and they were continuing to look at it. Gabe, what were your key takeaways from that session?
Yeah, pretty much that, blockchain, once again, is a way for us to share data with trust and security. So the big key takeaway for me is actually the decentralization. Okay, we talked about the decentralization of these things and the security and trust. So blockchain, once again, is most of the times decentralized, and it's a way that we can secure these things and immutable transactions. Nothing can be changed. So.
Perfect. Yeah, I would agree with those key takeaways. I would just say that I agree that the important part really is trust and security, because if you don't have trust in critical flight data, there's no way that we can use it broadly across different countries and different companies such as that. So let's go to episode number 5. Episode number 5 is where we looked at our Business Case Wednesday, where we were taking a look at customer service and hospitality. And this was really an interesting consideration about how blockchain brings new possibilities really for a customer experience. And our guest was Ala Salah, and he is currently with customer service and hospitality at Emirates. And what was really cool about this session is that where we took a look at how do we enhance the customer experience through the use of blockchain? And he gave an example of maybe we have a product on the aircraft, like he said, like a bottle of wine. And he said, maybe you could scan it with your phone, and the provider of that or the manufacturer of that wine maybe provided more details or more information, or maybe it was authenticated that it was real through the viewing of that NFT that was attached to that bottle of wine. But his point is that they were using different cryptocurrency and blockchain methodologies to be able to enhance the customer experience. They were also using it to consider things like loyalty programs. How do we use NFTs or blockchain to be able to continue to attach customers to us, maybe giving rewards or miles or loyalty programs through the use of blockchain? And then the other key thing that he brought up is that training, certifications, qualifications, and tokenizing of assets allowed us to create individual identities. So validating that someone had the proper skills and qualifications or credentials for a job at an existing company, as well as if they left and went somewhere else, those things go with the person instead of staying with the company. And so for me, those were really interesting aspects of the blockchain being applied to customer service and hospitality. Gabe, what were your takeaways from this episode?
Yeah, I wasn't on this episode, but I was listening in. So the key, pretty much what I got from this episode is that tokenization is here, and people are trying to implement tokenization in every way possible in their companies. That's appropriate. So like in number 2, loyalty programs. I think that is huge, and I think that a lot of industries and airlines are going to be probably using that pretty soon here. And also another key takeaway and point was these trading certificates and qualifications, and just the nature of NFTs themselves allows for it to be immutable and for these things to always be accessible.
Yeah, we had a lot of viewers asking about identity and things like that, and so that was really interesting how we use NFTs for identity, skills, and quals. And so I think that was my key takeaway.
Yeah.
So let's go to episode number 6. Yeah. So episode number 6 is where we focused on NFTs, and we had exciting for me. It was our first introduction of bringing in an airline, and we brought in Air Baltic, and we had conversations about how they were looking at using NFTs. And so we wanted you as the viewers to understand NFTs with utility. So that's an important aspect of it. And what we found is that they had actually been using Bitcoin for payment, I think since he said like maybe 2014, I think is what he had said. Right. And they were using BitPay, I think is what it was on their website. And then they decided to implement utilities, or they decided to implement NFTs. And they said it had to have utility. Now, what does that really mean? They were using crypto really as form of payments, as we said, and by adding NFTs into that, they said we can start out by allowing people to have ownership in our NFTs. And they came out with a different city series. And so this particular airline came out with, well, we fly to this city and we fly to this next one and the next one. And they came out with a series of NFTs, which were allowing people to really have identity. And they introduced us to the idea of going to their Discord, where they had their NFTs called planies. And these planies are, character pictures of their NFTs that are character pictures of their airplanes. And they're doing some interesting activities on the Discord in order to be able to capture people into the different programs. So for example, they said, if you will go out to one of our cities and hold up a picture saying I'm in Riga or in a different city like that, they were offering people rewards for supporting the Planies program. So they found creative ways to be able to engage their consumers or their customers surrounding the NFTs. They were really creating connection and association and involvement from their customer base. Gabe, what were your key takeaways from this session?
Yeah, so pretty much NFTs are not just a picture, right? So, and NFTs are growing their utility. Okay, so companies are trying to implement NFTs that don't just have buy and sell value, but they have some sort of utility attached to it. And this is a huge thing that a lot of companies are once again trying to get into and figure out ways to bring utility to this blockchain and crypto market.
Yeah, so one of the things we wanted viewers to do that are in businesses is to better understand NFTs and how your current business solutions that you have, products and services, could potentially be increased or grow through the use of NFTs, and comes from putting the two together. So that was my key takeaway. All right, let's go to episode number 7. Episode number 7 was our Innovation Monday, where we took a look at cross-industry blockchain. And the interesting aspect of this was we brought in somebody from an outside the industry. Well, actually, they do have a large aviation aerospace industry, but their first implementation of blockchain was not in aviation. The company was called Tech Mahindra, and we brought in Vivek, and he told us about the largest public blockchain that's ever been implemented, and it was a telecom implementation. What they did was they implemented a platform for do not call in India. And it was quite a while ago. It was about 5 years ago, roughly, before people were doing a lot of blockchain implementations. And so what they showed us is that there can be significant scale that can come from that. I don't remember how many users there were, but it was like 1 billion or something like that, users of the system. And then we looked at the application of ERP and loyalty and NFTs and security and the metaverse all coming together within aviation. And so how can we learn from outside of the industry to be able to do large scale deployments within aviation? We need to not just be looking at what's happening inside of our industry, but look at what people are doing outside, so that we can learn how to scale and do things better and faster than what we could before. Gabe, what were your takeaways from this session?
Yeah, the scalability is huge. So blockchain has been used for scalability for a long time, and there's tech. You guys didn't really talk about this, but a part of blockchain is adding that scalability, such as using layer 2 and layer 3s. And there's a evolutionizing. There's a there's evolution of blockchain, and through these layer 2, layer 3 solutions that provide scalability, and there will always be scalability through blockchain.
Yeah, the decentralized nature of the distributed ledger technology enables us to have wide scale deployments, not unlike how the internet grew, 20 years ago at this point. So that was my key takeaway. All right, let's go to episode number 8. Keep going here today. All right, so we looked at NFT tickets and TravelX. This was really an exciting session where we brought in the company TravelX, and we looked at what is really the synergistic value that comes from NFTs, and how do we get greater value and scale by implementing them in our business. And my guest was Juan Pablo Lafosse of the company called TravelX. Now, Gabe, we really this was really pretty an exciting session. And at the very beginning, Juan Pablo wanted me to focus on what was the core reason for doing this, not the one which was the flashy reason, which I'll come to in a minute. But he said there's really tough business problems that exist out there today. Like if you're a traveler, you know that exchanging of airline tickets is really challenging. So if you change flights or you cancel, we always have difficulty in managing of tickets. And what they did was they solved that problem by applying an NFT to the reservation system. And they created the very first NFT airline ticket is what they did. And as a result, they have a platform which is now actually in production, and it's being rolled out to different airlines and to different airline reservation systems today, where an NFT is actually being used to exchange the value and to provide liquidity of an airline ticket. And so that's really an innovative solution, which made it easier for us to be able to exchange and use the value in tickets. And this was really the very first implementation of it. And Gabe, maybe you tell people quickly, about the flashy value of it. What did they end up doing with that NFT ticket that made it really the most famous?
Well, because it was the first one ever sold, it sold for a ridiculous amount of money, $1 million. In
no, it's not ridiculous. It was a a large amount of money. Yeah,
it's a large amount of ridiculous as in large. So the amount of money. So it was $1 million from sold in Paris, and it was attached to a painting, I believe. Is that correct?
Art. Yeah, right.
It's a piece of art. But
yeah,
just one of my key takeaways from this is that once again, companies are trying to implement that utility and solve business cases with either NFTs or blockchain. And this is one business case where they were able to implement a utility into their NFT.
Yeah, and the value that I saw was that you create synergy by taking your existing, business problems that exist out there and attach an NFT, and the value of the scale and growth that's happening in blockchain with NFTs, they were able to create something much, much larger. And so the synergy that comes from it was my key takeaway. All right, let's go to episode number 9. Episode number 9 was looking at the future of flight and air traffic management. And this was broken into a couple of separate pieces. And so the key takeaway from this was understanding how we're going to meet the growth and demands that are coming from the growth in the air traffic system. How do we look at scale and all while having safety be a main priority? My guest was Simon Brown, and he currently is contracting at EasyJet, but he's really the founder of a company called he's a co-founder of a company called Fly2Plan. And in this situation, we learned from him that the industry is really growing rapidly due to things like UAVs and eVTOLs and urban air mobility and drones. And he told us that we're seeing right now, and the projections are there's about a 10x increase in growth that's existing out there today. And one of the things that we have to do is we have to, in order to be able to accommodate that, have data sharing and trust and the utility that comes from that. And he kept emphasizing to us over and over again that safety was really, foundational. And then he introduced this new word that I hadn't really heard before, which was called uncrewed traffic management. And this was developed in the Future of Flight initiative that was in the UK, where they looked at what's happening with the growth and how are we going to manage uncrewed traffic, in the system. And so this was really a very interesting session where we became really aware of the growth in the system, and the system is really operating at capacity. And what are we going to do to be able to accommodate that? Gabe, what were your key takeaways from that session?
Yeah, one thing I really like to look at is, that data sharing, trust, utility, and safety are essential. And this was one of the key things I got away from it, is that, once again, that blockchain is, Amazing technology when it comes to these sorts of things. So trust and utility and data sharing through the use of decentralized nodes and Oracle services, that these safety and security is possible.
Yeah, and episode 2 built on that. I mean, part 2 built on that. And so why don't we go to episode 10, which was really part 2 with another guest addressing the same, kind of a concept. And what we did here was we again looked at growing air traffic, control, focusing more on control. And Matt Banham is the CTO and founder of a company called Tech Tower. And it was a sort of an outcropping of those initiatives. And he has a background in air traffic control, and he managed development in organizations which were managing solutions for air traffic control towers. And so what we focused on, what's happening with the world of air traffic management and ATC workloads. They're really critical right now, because what we found, especially over the summer when we've had high traffic loads, is that right now today our ATC systems, our air traffic management systems, are really operating at capacity in order to be able to maintain safe environments. And so really there's been some slowdowns in different places that we saw because systems were operating at capacity. And what blockchain does is it brings together information sharing, trust, and data integration, which is going to allow us to be able to optimize the tower operations and the air traffic management operations to enable us to be able to scale more to meet the growth, the future growth. And what we looked at is that the future can be really dramatically impacted through the use of distributed ledger technology. And so what we have is really technology evolving, to support the essential growth that's happening in the industry. Gabe, what were your takeaways from this session?
Yeah, once again, it was similar to part 1, because this was just, the continuation part 2. But once again, technology evolution is essential to the growth. So very similar to part 1.
Yeah. And so in order to be able to meet the demands of the industry and the growth, we have to implement efficiencies, all while maintaining safety. And one of the key ways that we could do that is through the implementation of blockchain technology. All right, let's go to episode 11. Episode 11 focused on real asset management. And so we took a little shift, and we took a look at a company that's operating out of Bangkok in Asia Pacific right now. And my guest was Todd Sienna, and he is the founder and CEO of a company called Block Arrow. And what Block Arrow is doing is that they've already productionized the ability to be able to manage assets within aviation. And they're using blockchain technology to be able to load assets into the blockchain and to be able to manage those assets across the chain. So what assets are we talking about? We're talking about aircraft parts, we're talking about engine parts, and then we're able to manage those assets and assemble an entire configuration of airplanes and engines, and to be able to represent them maybe in a digital twin, or to represent them and track their records and maintain the value of those assets. Now, why do I say that? Is that as we have poor record keeping, or maybe we have records that are not comprehensive and complete, which happens when we have humans involved, the value of those assets goes down. And using the blockchain enables us to not only maintain that value, but increase the value by having improved management abilities, of those assets. And again, we're focusing on configuration, the tracking of the history, and really creating value in those assets. Gabe, what was your key takeaway from this session?
Yeah, my key takeaway was follows up with the key point number 3, which was, configuration, tracking, history, and all create value in assets. And the reason for that is because, once again, we've been talking about blockchain in aviation, and how it is immutable, and how it is highly decentralized, and how it's able to track all these things. It's able to, keep its value through its record keeping and its tracking. So that was my key takeaway.
Good. No, very good. That was good. Good summary, Gabe. Hey, Gabe, I got the word from our production controller that we're halfway through and we have to speed this up. So
okay, let's speed it up.
We're going to have to power through these in an abbreviated manner so that we keep people's attention and we give you the value that you're looking for. So let's go to episode 12. Episode 12 is looking at crypto basics. Gabe, this is one of them that you did, and we focused on crypto. Tell us quickly what you did to be able to help people, and if you want to learn about crypto and basics.
Yeah, so pretty much this episode was understanding the basics, what crypto is, and and what wallets are, buying, transferring, moving things from MetaMask, from exchanges to MetaMask, or to different sorts of wallets. And we even had a screen recording on this one if you were new to this thing and you wanted to set up a wallet. And then we talked about security and safety and what you need to do if you have a MetaMask. And I wish we would have gone to had another episode solely on security, but maybe that's for another day. But pretty much the key takeaway was just crypto getting started and getting a wallet set up and safety.
Excellent. Let's go to episode 13. Episode 13 is where we focused on execution. Now, this is a particular episode that I did on my own. And the reason that I did is because I had so many people saying, wow, now that I've started to understand the core fundamentals of digital, then what do we really have to focus on? And what I told people is that the key factors for success are really the same as fundamentals in any digital project. We need to start by understanding what it is that we're doing. We need to have a resolute desire to be able to execute on a project. We need to leverage the expertise of people around us, which is extremely important. Look at the business processes and the business cases and look at technology and put those all together and figure out what it is that you want to move forward and implement on. The bottom line is we need to be able to think big, start small, and act fast. And don't be afraid. My main takeaway really was don't be overwhelmed by the magnitude of the situation. Just get started and figure it out as you go. Gabe, what do you think?
I agree. That last key takeaway is awesome, and we all should be following that. Don't be overwhelmed and don't be afraid to start these new things. And if you think it's bigger than what you can do, just start out. And failure is a part of, success and learning. So get started.
Perfect. All right, let's go to episode 14. Okay, episode 14, Blockchain in Aviation, is we looked at utility, NFTs, and the business. And this one is very near to us because what we did is Gabriel and Rachel and I, we introduced the idea of your current business and the products and services that you currently have, your business solutions. How can you combine that with NFTs, much like some of the others that we showed you previously in the episodes? And how do we use those NFTs to be able to create maximum value? We're all trying to find new ways to be able to grow our business. And how can we leverage technology that exists out there and you get the value of the momentum that's happening around blockchain and NFTs and crypto, and to be able to grow our business and to be able to make it happen faster than ever before? And we need to use the synergy to grow our business by using blockchain and the things that revolve around that. Gabe, what were your key takeaways from that?
Yeah, key takeaways from this one was, as you can see at the bottom, giving business value and utility in any solution, including blockchain. And we really talk about how to implement a utility in an NFT in this one. So that was my key takeaway.
Yeah, and the bottom line is that we're leveraging our own business and the NFT that we have that offers our products and services, which we're going to make people aware of in another session. So let's go to episode 15. Episode 15 was really looking at supply chain, blockchain in aviation, supply chain, warranty, and more. And we brought a guest back on. We brought Kiran Prakash and LV back on from Real Variable. And we brought to light the understanding of how we use real blockchain solutions, supply chain, and warranty. And in this session, we showed you how blockchain and decentralized solutions are a new opportunity to be able to really scale. And blockchain in aviation today, they have production solutions which have been deployed at large scale companies where they've done supply chain, warranty, parts track and trace. And those are really optimum use cases for using a blockchain, because we have a large number of vendors which have a large number of parts, and we all have a need to know where they are in that supply chain, what's the status, when are they going to be delivered, because it does impact our either MRO schedules or impact our production schedules for OEMs. And having that information in a way that it's accessible to a large number of people and a large number of suppliers that can get on board can really change the game. Security, accessibility, scalability, decentralized nature of it are all an important element of that. And so my takeaway from that, Gabe, is that it's production ready. What was your takeaway from that?
Yeah, I agree. Production ready. And once again, key point number 3 is always big with me when it comes to security, decentralization, and private and public consensuses. So,
Okay, perfect. Episode 16, let's go there. All right, so the next one, which is really pretty cool to me because it's tokenization of equity. And I had previously met Jamie Frim of the company Securitize when we were doing some equity raising for a particular project. And so we wanted to bring to the aviation community is that how can we access equity, through tokens? And what he did is he brought to us the concept that individuals and businesses who are looking for the opportunity to invest or to be invested in, they can look at new markets and having greater liquidity by considering blockchain platforms that not only operate on the blockchain, but leverage tokens to be able to tokenize assets. And this process really opened up new markets and the ways to have liquidity. And so just really quickly, when I'm talking about liquidity, I'm saying that if you have it in a token, it gives investors the ability to be able to exchange those tokens and to be able to cash out of something and maybe sell it much easier than if it were part of a traditional equity raise, kind of a process where they've invested in the business. So blockchains being built on top of existing businesses can offer dramatically new opportunities when we use blockchain. Gabe, what were your takeaways from this session?
This is a great episode, everybody, because once again, not just in aviation, but the tokenization of things is going to be huge. And in lots of different aspects of companies and products and services and markets. So my key takeaway was, that the tokenization of equity, once again, is here. It's here to stay, and it's coming to companies and industries soon, and is happening as we speak.
Perfect. I couldn't agree more. All right, Blockchain in Aviation, episode 17. Blockchain in Aviation, episode 17, focused on managing air traffic growth. And I brought in yet another guest who had a tremendous amount of experience, Dimitri. And Demetrius is a PhD professor at Cranfield University. And Cranfield University focuses on technology and aviation for advanced degree, programs. And they have worked with a large number of people in consortiums to be able to bring together industry needs and bring together technology and to be able to help people in understanding how technology can be applied in aviation. And what he talked to us about was that the airway systems are really operating at their peak capacities today. And the end result is that there really isn't room for growth without having change. And what's happening is that the industry is changing dramatically right now through the implementations of UAVs and eVTOLs and UAMs, urban air mobility and drones and things like that. They were projecting that the growth is roughly 10x in the near future. And so the end result is that our systems are at capacity. Unless we do something to increase capacity, all while maintaining higher levels of safety, we're not going to be able to grow. And it's very difficult when regulators and when people that manage the environments get behind the industry or aren't advancing as fast. And so what I mean by that is that if we have a rapid growth in uncrewed vehicles and the air traffic system can't handle that, then we just have problems. We have congestion, we have breakdown of the system because we can't allow for it to be unsafe. So we basically are able to now leverage technology to reduce tower workloads and increase capacity with blockchain. Gabe, what were your takeaways from this session?
Yeah, my takeaway from that was, we need to grow, right? So the technologies are there, and without this growth, we're falling behind.
Yeah, one of my key takeaways, of course, was safety is number one.
Safety.
And so what happens is that the system slows down in order that they can maintain safety. And so unless we do something to grow and scale, we're not going to be able to do it because we have to maintain a safe system. All right, let's go to our next episode, which is episode 18. Blockchain in Aviation, episode 18. Very exciting episode where we talked about Ethereum for private jets. NFTs basically are now a place where we can open up new opportunities for business opportunities, and creative people like our guest, Nick, call sign Moose, Nick Scott, is the founder of ETHJets. And what they did is they took an existing challenge that existed out there in the industry, was that there's a significant increase in the demand for private jet travel, and it's growing at a rapid pace over the last couple of years. And there's hundreds of millions of dollars, I think he said about $250 million of unfulfilled charter requests that exist out there today. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to create an environment where all these new people can have greater access to private jet travel by applying some creative means, like the application of an NFT into private jet travel. Now, you might ask, well, how does applying an NFT to private jet travel help? Well, it provides with equity within the process, accessibility to new jets. He's partnered with companies who have empty jets that are flying back. It's called empty legs. And what they're doing is they're making empty leg travel accessible to people that are NFT holders out there. And so it's opening up private jet travel to a whole new class of people and a whole new group of people that are NFT and crypto enthusiasts. Gabe, what are your thoughts on this initiative?
Yeah, once again, it's another amazing utility of an NFT, right? So this is just another showcase of what we can do with NFTs, other than them just being pictures sold on OpenSea.
Yeah, you'll be able to watch the replay of this, and I really highly recommend that you do. And you can also go to ethjets.io and you can learn more about it. So let's go to episode 19. Blockchain in Aviation, episode 19 was really focused on blockchain at scale. And what did that really mean? My guest that we brought in was Mark Roboff, and he's the co-founder and CEO of a company called Skythread. Now, what we looked at was, how does blockchain provide tier one airlines and MRO solutions really the ability to be able to leverage operational data and use that on the blockchain. Now, what do we really mean by that? Blockchain provides a platform for information sharing at scale. And so they are not providing a user interface, a UI. They are providing like an intermediary. I don't think he described it that way, but basically parts, records, and operational data are really underutilized today. Data about those things is really underutilized today. And what they're doing is they're publishing that and they're aggregating that on the blockchain so that it can be repurposed in many different ways. And so they're using the blockchain as the place where the information is published and shared as part of the entire IT portfolio and ecosystem, making it available to people to access in other applications. An airline can access it, or an MRO can access it, in order to be able to optimize their environment or increase the value of the data, and to learn from it, maybe do predictive maintenance, and to be able to use that data to be able to grow and scale and reduce cost and increase revenues. Gabe, did you have some takeaways from this one?
Yeah, this one, I wasn't able to see this one, but it sounds like they're bringing it right off-chain data on-chain, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Really, what they're doing is they're taking operational data that exists in the operation today, like maybe operational maintenance data, and then publishing it to the blockchain so that it can be aggregated and repurposed with greater value. That's really the main takeaway.
Yeah.
So very good. All right. Well, let's go to episode 20. Episode 20 of Blockchain in Aviation was really learning how to scale. And when we took a look at that, we looked at the NFT market. And we brought in a gentleman by the name of Damon Tackett, and he's the founder of a company called Chain of Fools. And they were really the ones who were the marketing strategy behind ETHJets. Now, why is that really important? Well, even just recently as this week, there was a major announcement by several companies, by sports companies and by some music artists. And there was actually on the television this week, the use of some of the NFTs that we know out there today. Some of the things that we thought were just pictures out there. And we said, why are people paying really large amounts of money for NFTs that are really just pictures and representations? Well, what they proved to us is that they're being attached to products and being attached to services like sports figures or commercial products. And those NFTs are being used for massive marketing. We even saw that they turned it into an animated film. And so right away, we saw that a simple NFT had value because now it became part of an entire operational marketing system. And so if you want to increase the resale value of something, what they are absolutely doing is they're leveraging the growth in NFTs, and they're leveraging people's desire to buy NFTs and attaching them to existing products and making them available out there to grow and to catch the winds of growth and the synergy of that exists. So Gabe, what did you get from this session?
Well, let me just say this really quick. They were able to put Bored Apes?
Yeah, Bored Apes
onto a M&M package. So
yeah,
amazing way for marketing. So I agree. Once again, showing us how NFTs are implemented and what kind of utility they can have in marketing.
Yeah.
And we see that companies are are really starting to push for these things.
Yeah, we saw the Kingsman project paired with Mars M&Ms to be able to create marketing value.
Mm-hmm.
We also saw the NFL coming out with sports card NFTs as collectible sports cards. And so the point is that these things can be put together to create awesome maximum value. All right, we're nearing the end here. We're going to episode 21, blockchain in episode 21, focused on blockchain in your business. And the goal of this episode was really to, again, inform people and help people understand that digital transformation is a process, and we need to understand the business challenges in our business. We need to look at the business cases and the need for technology, and don't be afraid that blockchain is maybe an unknown technology. The whole reason that we started this series, Blockchain in Aviation, is for people to better understand blockchain, how it works, how the technology can be applied in aviation so that we can optimize that as one of the technologies that we're considering to grow and optimize aviation to create the needed efficiencies that exist. Gabe, what were some of your takeaways from this?
Yeah, once again, like you said, learning about blockchain in aviation is amazing. Like I before, a year ago, I didn't even know that, blockchain was happening in aviation, and maybe because they're a little bit far behind, but I just think that there's so many opportunities out there.
Yeah, I definitely, it's one of my passions is for people to understand blockchain so that they can consider its application, because it has so much of its ability to be able to improve aviation and efficiency that I want people to be considering it as part of their alternatives for technology. All right, here we go. Episode 22, which was looking back at how do we use blockchain in aviation. And this is where we brought back our very first guest. We brought back Luis Santos, and he helped us kick off Web3 and the terminology and the concepts. And we told him he could come back and tell us more about the Earhart solution. And what they did is they created a blockchain platform, which was very, very simple to use. We gave a very simple demonstration, but his main objective is to provide a place where people can bring their data, their aircraft configuration data, their records, their parts information, and we can put it onto the blockchain and enable them to be successful in publishing that data so it can be part of records and history. And why do we want to do that? Because if we have records and history data that exists out there that's published on the blockchain, it can become part of its permanent immutable record, which we can trust. And people like operators or leaseholders of the aircraft can have access to that data, and it maximizes the value of our assets and helps improve the efficiency of aviation and makes it possible for us to have efficient, effective travel, in the industry. Gabe, did you have any final thoughts on this broadcast?
I did. This is once again one of the, I think, was one of the better broadcasts, because it really brings forth what type of utility that blockchain is really bringing. This is a use case that's happening right now. They've got a platform in order to implement these things, and I think it's probably one of the best use cases that I've seen for blockchain in aviation.
Very good, very good. And that concludes episode 22 of our Blockchain in Aviation. So in 45 minutes, we powered through 22 episodes of Blockchain in Aviation. And the reason that I did that is because so many of you said I didn't get to see all the episodes, and I just wish I could have like an executive summary. So based on what you were asking me for, we went ahead and did that. And I'm going to let you know that this is a summary, but let's bring up where our links are. And if I bring up our links where you can go watch the replays, probably the best place to go watch replays of these episodes in detail are out there at YouTube. And if you go to youtube.com, DigitalAircraft1, you are able to watch the replays, and you can watch them in more detail. But we have one episode left coming up. And I wanted to invite you for our final episode. And what's going to be special about this final episode on Friday, so we can just go ahead and bring that slide up, is that I have a guest who is on the board of the City of Blockchain for the Model University in Vienna. It's Horst. And what he's going to do is he's going to tell us about some of the initiatives where we're focusing on blockchain in the future. And so one of the things that we always need to be doing is visioning on where we can go and how we can apply future technologies in different ways. And he's going to be sharing with us some really interesting ideas on how we can do that. And so join us on Friday, which is for our last broadcast, where you'll be able to talk about the future of blockchain. Gabe, I really appreciate you supporting us as a company in 24 total episodes of Blockchain in Aviation. It's really been a good run. Gotten a lot of good feedback. What are your thoughts on pulling all this together and providing people with such a series of knowledge on blockchain in aviation?
I can tell you what, that I have learned a lot from these series, and there's so much valuable information in all these guests that you've had on, and how they talk about what possible solutions there are and what solutions that are being put in place right now. And I just think that the value is out there with blockchain, especially in aviation, and it's here to stay, and it's going to be definitely
massive.
It's here.
Yep. Yeah, I have had a lot of companies reach out to me for more information, and people that have said, could you talk to us about implementing NFTs in our business? What do you know about blockchain for supply chain? Just all sorts of different companies and individuals have reached out to me. If you are interested in learning more about blockchain, or if you're interested in knowing about what we do, as a company, what we do is we do digital project implementation and consulting. We do contract sales and marketing, and we help people with implementations of projects like blockchain projects. We're in the middle of implementing a very exciting NFT project in our own business. And if you'd like to talk about some of those things in your business, you can reach out to me via email, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I love to talk about those things, and I would love to talk to you about that in your business. One final note, this fall in October and November, and September, October, and November, I have a number of different speaking engagements that I'm involved in. I'm going to be at the Aircraft IT Conference on September 13th and 14th, and I'll be speaking at 4:15 Eastern time, where I'll be talking about blockchain in aviation. If you're going to be there at the conference, join us. I think you would really benefit from learning more in person. I'll be there. You can ask questions, and we'll learn more together about blockchain in aviation. And then I have a couple of webinars that I'm hosting, and I have another conference that I'm doing in October. So we are not stopping here. We are continuing to share knowledge and information about blockchain in aviation. Join us in this journey as we go forward. And I'm so happy that you've been able to be part of this. Gabe, thanks again. And everybody watching here today, fair winds and following seas. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in our final episode on Friday. Don't miss it. Have a great day. Bye.